And we're live. Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge. I'm Anthony Irwin, joined as always on this fine Thursday late morning, your time, late-ish afternoon, my time, mid-afternoon, I guess my time. Aaron, how you doing, buddy?
Early afternoon your time?
Like late, it's like mid. No, I was gonna say late, but it's only 12:45, so it's
yeah,
like
that's early afternoon your time. Literally, it's in the name. Afternoon. It is 45 minutes afternoon.
It is afternoon. Yes,
that does not qualify as late in the afternoon.
It is 45 minutes afternoon. Yeah. All right. That's good.
But I'm well, thank you. But we just got a huge Woj bomb, big Woj bomb. Would you like to read it, or should I do the honors?
Detroit
Bojan Bogdanovic
forward
season debut looming as soon as Saturday versus the Cavs for Detroit Pistons, who have lost 15 games in a row.
That'll turn everything around.
Yep.
You know how I know that he's going to be a Laker?
Okay. How?
Because he didn't make his debut against the Lakers.
Oh,
like he's doing the solid, you know.
So
I'll save their season, but I also don't want you to be the first team that loses to them because I come back.
So I'm fascinated by this. Obviously, I'm closely connected with the Lakers, but I am fascinated by. So I don't have these I didn't grow up in LA. I didn't grow up a Lakers fan, so I have a different perspective on some of it, I guess. So the Lakers fan thing that everybody comes to the Lakers and 3-point shooters can't make shots anymore, and that everybody comes back from injury to play against the Lakers thing that Lakers fans have, I don't have. So I think I'm fascinated by it. So this was an offshoot of it, right? Bogdanovic didn't come back against the Lakers.
It's a combination
so that must mean that he is dying to be a Laker. That's how you know he's going to be a Laker, because he did not want to take one game. He did not want to have a one-game loss for the Lakers where he came back and was responsible for it, because he knows he's going to the Lakers in the future. Is kind of what you're going with, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. It's a combination there.
No, I mean, it's completely reasonable.
I had this surgery done over the offseason where a surgeon actually fitted my head for tinfoil. So it is just always there.
I've told you many, many times, tinfoil hat Anthony is my favorite Anthony.
All right, let's look at those in order. All right, everybody comes back against the Lakers. Stars do.
No, it's just factually inaccurate.
It is factually correct. It is true.
Right. Okay.
And so that's part of it. It's because usually when stars are playing against the Lakers, especially on good teams, it's going to be a nationally televised game. So normally those games, those guys do want to be back there for. They want to play on those stages, right? So I think that's what's going into that. Last year was hilarious. Even I am, and it was funny because the ways that a season is going really impact your outlook on that trend, right? So if the Lakers were playing well last year, I would have been like, hell yeah, it's going to be a fun game. Let's bring that challenge, all that stuff. But while Russ was still a Laker, I was like, come on, man, you couldn't return a game later, so
that's funny.
And then so the other one, all right, the next one, players forget how to shoot when they get to the Lakers. That is also very true. Malik Beasley is having the shooting season of his life. Lonnie Walker is, the human torch out there in Brooklyn right now. Taurean Prince made 3 of 4 3-pointers yesterday, and he lit the world on fire. It's like, oh my God, look at this go. So I think that's a real thing. And, so maybe at least for the perception of things, employ a shooting coach, just a thought. Yeah.
I mean, there was a shooting coach, never mind.
But he wasn't so much shooting coach as he was fake PR person. Given how much he was.
The DMs. Yeah, the DMs were so was troubling. That was.
I won't name names, but if you know, you know.
That was troubling. So I think there's a lot of confirmation bias in both of those things, but especially with everybody returns against the Lakers, except when they don't. And when they don't, we just forget about it. And when they do, it's, see, I told you, everybody wants to play. What I will say though, what I do think is accurate.
I need somebody who doesn't have kids to go back and check this. Like Zane is really good at this stuff for Silver Screen. He wrote the shooting thing for us back when I was there. We need somebody to go back through and check that everybody comes back against the Lakers, or like,
yeah, but
stars.
But what if they came back? Like, how do you figure? What if they came back the game before, or 2 games before, or the game after, or 2 games after?
Well,
like,
the game after,
what is the cutoff? What is the cutoff for? They didn't. They only came back because it was the Lakers. Like, what is? We need a. We need some like guidelines to this.
We guidelines. All right, we'll come up with those guidelines, and we'll get the interns on it. Once we get interns.
What I will say though is I do agree with this, and True and I have talked about this a lot. Is that I do believe that generally the Lakers get other teams' best shot. You know, like there is something about playing against the Lakers for teams. I mean, that's also true of playing against, at this point, playing against the Bucks, playing against the Nuggets, playing against the Celtics, playing against the Warriors. So, but there's something like historical about the Lakers because the Lakers are the Lakers. So I do think that people get up, like teams in general, not individual players, but also individual players. But like, I do think there's a little extra juice about playing the Lakers. So I do think that the Lakers get a better effort in aggregate than other teams,
which also features guys being available,
coming back.
Yeah,
combined with the Lakers guys not being able to shoot. So what you're telling me is if Steph Curry came to the Lakers, he would turn into a 32% 3-point shooter. Is what you're telling me?
I'm like legitimately curious, like what the extents to this trend would go, because like Aaron, you have to acknowledge that guys you had Reggie Bullock come to the Lakers. He became a walking brick. Wayne Ellington, last time we saw him, wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire. Carmelo Anthony had a great opening to the season, but then really fell off over the course of that year.
18 of his first 19 in Staples Center.
It was wild.
Yeah.
LA Staples Mello was a thing. Staples Mello was actually better than Hoodie Mello. You had let's see. Oh yeah, Malik Beasley last year was pretty bad.
Malik did not shoot it well last year, and he's as we went through the numbers last week. He had a terrible start to the season in Milwaukee, but he shot it well since. Yeah.
Danny Green had some downturns over the course of his time to where
fine, but DG has not made a jumper since he left the Lakers either.
We broke him permanently. We've talked a lot about Taurean Prince. I am legitimately curious. I will travel to the ends. Mike Muscala, thank you. Look at the comment section, like just coming with it. Right, Danny Green, Mike Muscala. Like I give me.
Yeah,
if you're watching live on YouTube.
Mike was not. Although, have I said this on? I got to be careful about this. Have I said this on the? So right after Magic traded for Muscala. This is maybe a week.
I like how you say Magic and not we. Like normally like
that was a Magic. That was
when the Lakers do good stuff. It's like, we pulled that off together. In this case, Magic Johnson traded Ivica Zubats for
say Magic production there. So shortly thereafter, we are in New York. See, I say that like when it's the travel part of it, I say we because I like them there. So, and we go to the Museum of Modern Art in New York. Actually, I think I told this on All Access Lakers the other day. But so we're in the Museum of Modern Art. It's me, some of the trainers. Mark Madsen put it together. He put the trip together. Miles Simon's wife, Isaiah Fox, who was an assistant at the time. A few other people go. And Muscala pulls me aside and goes, let me talk to you about something. And I go, okay. Yeah, I don't know this dude. Like, really, he's been with the team for maybe a week, probably not even.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and I have no like relationship at this point. I don't really know the
He's
dude.
like, hey man, why do I suck all of a sudden?
No, he goes,
what's going
I think
on?
I'm done. And I go, what? And he goes,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I think I'm gonna retire. And I was like, you're what? Like at the end of the year? And he goes, no, maybe now.
No,
I'm thinking about it now. I go, hey man, what? I mean, he's played since, right? He's played every year
for like
since, and
multiple years. He's played
yes,
like
correct.
3 years
And he was
after the
like,
fact.
and it wasn't because anything with the Lakers that had nothing to do with it. It was just like he was considering at the time he got traded, at the time Magic traded for him, he apparently was considering retirement.
I am clipping
nothing
this.
about the Lakers. He just didn't feel like playing basketball anymore.
It looked like it. Like,
It was not. It
you
did not
watch
go
him
well.
play, it was like, that guy doesn't like this anymore.
It did not go. It did not go particularly well. It did not go well.
I am clipping this. That is going to be the preview of the show. Like that is going out on the socials. That is.
Please don't do that to me. Please do not do that. Please don't do that. That would not be good. Please don't do that.
I really
that was
hope
for
Mike
the
Muscala
that was for the
sees it
people
too.
that was for the live people on YouTube and for the people that listen back to the feed podcast.
I really hope that like Muscala sees it too.
Don't do that.
Like,
no, don't do that.
What would be the funnier response if he's like, "Yeah, being a Lakers sucked. Like that was just you guys are really."
No, it had nothing to do with
it had
nothing to do with the Lakers. He just was like not feeling like hooping anymore. Like Magic, did we not like there was no research done? Like we didn't talk to anybody about this? Yeah, no, he was
Aaron, he makes 3-pointers and he's tall. And that's the end of discussion.
Yeah.
Also, JaVale McGee hates Ivica Zubats because
wait, what?
Remember, like that was like
no, I don't know. I don't know this.
That was reported to be part of it. Was that like JaVale was starting to mope because Zoo was outplaying him and was taking his starters minutes, and Magic felt like he had to get Zoo out of there so that they could get a better version of JaVale. And then he just got the worst version of both of those guys, and Zoo eventually became a starting level, a starting level center.
So what I noticed, actually, I was going to say this earlier. What I noticed when I listened back to our show, I'm vain enough that I listened back to our shows.
I can't do it. I hate my voice.
So what I noticed was I was muting my mic on my actual microphone.
Yeah.
And, coughing and clearing my throat and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it just came through. It didn't mute it at all. So from now on, I know
it's made me wonder actually if you're coming through your mic.
Interesting. Let's look.
All right. Well, while you do that, we're going to go ahead and
start talking about
what we're going to talk about. Yeah, what we're going to talk about today. And actually, we have a super comment from Jason Kelly on the subject that we are going to be hitting on today. Jason writes in, AD and Darvin both seem way too passive in game. Darvin and Mazzulla both need a person on staff with veto power that can call a timeout. Thanks. Thank you, Jason.
I think I found that's better now.
Wow, look at that. So you haven't been on all this time.
For some reason, we fixed that.
Yeah.
Now we'll be good.
Now if you cough, you can actually hit that button and it would do something.
Yeah. Let's see.
Waited to hit the button, of course.
Did it work though? Did it
you
work?
You coughed and then you hit the button after.
But did it cut my cough in the middle? That's what I wanted to find out.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Good. Now I know I'm good. Okay.
Or you could have like pantomimed coughing and it would have really worked, right? You could have been like,
yeah, but we needed to stress test. We needed to actually see if it would.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
All right.
So I apologize to all the listeners last week because apparently my
for the last few weeks.
Oh yeah, okay. Sorry. It was the my camera. Forever. I didn't know my webcam was, and not the microphone was picking up the sound. So now we should be good.
D and John, the site will eventually pick up Aaron's volume and it'll equalize itself. That's what StreamYard does. That's what I'm paying the big bucks for.
Oh, good.
Anyway, or you could turn up your gain. One or the other.
I can do both.
So we are going to talk today about Darvin Ham. And we are, after tonight, the Lakers
Yes.
will be a quarter of the way through the season. That sounded better. The Lakers will be a quarter of the way through the season. And this is the time that coaching staffs usually kind of start to look back on with the data sample. I know the Lakers will use the excuse of injuries to maybe not do this as much, but normally teams will look at what has gone right, what has gone wrong, and start to really kind of examine the things that they need to tweak here. This was as of last night, and I'll just read. I have to find the stats here again. They're also in my notes. Oh, here we go. All right. So this was as of 3:00 yesterday.
So this is before the game yesterday.
Before yesterday's game, and honestly, we shouldn't take yesterday's game into account.
I mean,
the Pistons are the most garbage team I have seen in quite some time.
I
not like talent wise, but like I just think that, like, culturally they suck.
They're just wholly unserious.
Yeah. All right. 4 stats per 100 possessions that are starting to make me nervous as we near the quarter mark. The Lakers are attempting 24.2 free throws per 100 possessions, which is 10th in the league, right? They're above average. That's fine, but it isn't consistent with the pace that they were at. And I'm not expecting them to like lap the field in the way that they were when they went on their run last year. But like, I think you do need to be a little higher when you take into account these next things. They are attempting 28.8 3-pointers per 100 possessions. Again, that might have gone up after last night because they were really pulling from deep last night because the Pistons weren't guarding anybody. That is the fewest in the league, and they are making 32.7% of them, which is the 28th worst in the league. They're also not generating extra possessions for themselves by way of offensive.
It's not the 28th, by the way. It's not the 28th worst. It's the 3rd worst.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I always get
28th worst sounds pretty good.
Yeah, right. That's fine.
It's bad. How about that? It's bad
in free throw percentage. Yeah,
it's bad.
They are 29th in the number of offensive rebounds that they are grabbing per game, and that's with Anthony Davis and LeBron James on their team. They are grabbing 8 offensive rebounds per game, and they are turning the ball over 15 times per game. That is the 8th most in the NBA per 100 possessions. So like that profile would indicate to me that a lot has to change, right? To quote LeBron James after the Philadelphia game, a lot has to change here. And, you know, they are now 20 games into this. And I kind of we'll start macro and we'll kind of work our way in. Aaron, I want you to like, how do you feel about Darvin Ham as a basketball coach now that we have watched him for, if you combine the playoffs and the beginning of the season, like a season and a half, I would say?
I think it's been up and down with Darvin. I think that so Darvin has a thing where he believes, and I tend to agree with him, that he believes like if the vibes are bad, if the communication is bad, if the relationships are bad, the rest of it doesn't matter. And so he does excel at that. The X's and O's part of it has been up and down, I think. I didn't like the defensive game plan in Philly. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because, again, the Pistons are just so unserious. I don't think there's anything to take from it.
No.
I think it's up and down, I think is the best way to describe it, or describe his tenure so far. To be fair, he weathered a 2-10 storm, and the Lakers made the conference finals last year. So that also has to go on his record positively. But I think it's been up and down, which is reasonable for any coach, but especially somebody who's doing it for the first time. You mentioned a bunch of stats. I'm concerned about the offense. So you said that, you know, the Lakers.
Can we I'm going to add this because I think this is a fair point from Jason Kelly. Also, this isn't a 5-out roster. I would tend to agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. I think it was implemented to try to give AD and LeBron more space going to the rim, and it has not worked. AD again is like a 0 as a shooter. I think AD is honestly, Pete on LFR had these numbers the other day, but I think AD is shooting like 30% from outside of the paint, which is just like that. AD is a complete 0 as a shooter, which
is crazy,
which is problematic. LeBron has had a good bounce back year as a shooter, but other teams, a defense is going to, if LeBron is going to shoot a 3, other teams are going to say thank you, even though they're going in presently. That feels like a win for the defense because LeBron throughout his career and even still has been able to bully his way to the rim just about whenever he wants. And so even though they're going in presently, the league doesn't view LeBron as a shooter. The league says go for it. Really, the only shooter that the Lakers have at this point feels like D'Lo, and D'Lo obviously went off last night. But the only shooter that Austin is maybe getting there, but D'Lo is the guy that other teams are afraid of shooting the ball, and he's the only one. So I am worried about the offense. You mentioned a bunch of numbers. The defense, the Lakers lead the league in fewest free throws allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And last year, as you mentioned, it was basically like lapping the field because they were so far ahead in free throws shot and were so far ahead in free throws allowed that it was silliness. The defense, the fouling on defense has been similar. It's that the Lakers are not getting to the line at all. And not that they're not getting, compared to last year, they're not getting to the line at all. And you know how you're a football fan. You know, they say like there's the hidden yardage in football, right? There's like the special teams, return yards and all the hidden yardage.
Yep.
In basketball, that is free throws, that's offensive rebounds, which you mentioned the Lakers don't get any. Turnovers. I have a theory about that. We can get into why if you want to, but so like all the little hidden stuff, the extra possessions, the free throws, the offensive rebounds, the Lakers have struggled with those things, and the injuries are a thing, but the difficult part about it is the injuries are a thing. The guys that have been out are defensive guys, and the Lakers defense has been fine. So the injury excuse doesn't really fly for me because like Vando's a minus on offense. Gabe, he's a point of attack guy. He can shoot it sometimes, maybe. He's a decent 3-point shooter, but he's more of a defensive guy than an offensive guy. Cam, who's been out some here and there, is more of a defensive guy than an offensive guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the defense has held up because of AD. The defense has held up during these times. The offense just isn't good enough, and the guys that have been out are not offensive guys. So I do have, like, in a macro sense, I have concern that the Lakers can score enough points to win games against teams that matter.
And that's essentially how it's played out, right? Like, they have a couple good wins that you kind of looked at and you said that's a solid win here and there, but they've also been boat raced 3 different times by better teams, and
they were not, they were boat raced by Houston, and Houston is not better than them.
Well, I mean, like compared to the rest of the teams that they've played, I think Houston was one of the better teams that they've played.
The Lakers' schedule has not been exceedingly difficult so far. I would agree.
It looked like it was going to be pretty rough, but then some of the teams that we thought were going to be tougher games have the Warriors hasn't played out that way. So, the
Lakers have played the Warriors.
Did
I miss the Lakers playing the Warriors?
In
preseason? Yes. I mean, Phoenix is probably, I would say, at Phoenix in the first game of the in-season tournament feels like the Lakers' best win because Phoenix has been pretty good.
In Cleveland, yeah.
Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland has been a disappointment so far, but I think Cleveland is good. That's
and they only had Garland for like half of the game, right? He only played 14 minutes in that one.
Memphis is terrible.
Memphis is terrible.
Memphis is awful.
We talked about Raj and I talked about them last night, and the culture stuff really sticks out to me. You had Marcus Smart there saying like, this is embarrassing. We have to have some pride. The fans are paying money to go see us. Hilariously, they're paying $4 to get into that building. But they're like, but he's like trying to get everybody going, and then like the camera kind of like zooms out a little bit. You see Jaren Jackson just kind of like, yeah, you tell him, Marcus. Good stuff, bud.
Yeah, it's it's gonna be. I mean, look, the West in general is not as like at the top is not as good as we thought.
Denver
But
looks
there's a lot of
incredible,
depth.
but
I mean, but Denver's been losing a bunch of games too.
well, they didn't have Jamal Murray for a month.
Sure, but that counts too, right?
If the Lakers didn't have one of LeBron or AD for a month, they'd be in dire.
Look, Phoenix is right there, and Phoenix's 3 guys haven't played together yet. So
yeah.
My point though is that like
I agree that Frank Vogel is a better coach than Darvin Ham. I'm glad that we all agree.
I love Frank. Frank is my guy, and I love Frank, but I did not say that. You can go ahead, and I'm just going to sip unnamed cognac. You can say whatever you want. It's your show. But I, on the other hand, did not say that. My point is, though, about Memphis is I think they're kind of waiting for Ja to come back. And I guess they're maybe 20 games in too. But they might be buried. It might be just too late.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think they're just too far gone at this point. And they don't, and Steven Adams being out and Brandon Clark being out has not done them any favors.
So my stance on Ham macro is I think he does a very, very, very good job getting and maintaining buy-in from all of his roster when it comes time to call on them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to do like the lazy thing here and say black guy is a good players coach, because I think we get way too much of that. There are some things tactically and strategically that I like, right? Like I do think it, like heading into a season, I would be hypocritical if I said that the notion of getting LeBron and AD more space is a worthwhile endeavor. I agree with that going into a season. What we've learned, I think, over the course of that season is, the shooters that they were going to rely on forgot how to shoot in ways that would have spaced the floor for them. And even had they maintained their typical shooting levels, I don't know that they would have done so at enough volume to actually generate more space for LeBron and AD, because defenses, I think, are just never going to allow more space for LeBron and AD. That is points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 through 11 on guarding LeBron and AD teams.
Yeah, as we talked about last week, not unless you have a 5-alarm fire shooter.
Yeah, and none of the guys that the Lakers have are that.
No.
So I think if I am to criticize Darvin on that endeavor, I also have to acknowledge that is something that I have been calling for too. I just don't know that the Lakers have ever employed a shooter good enough to do that kind of a thing, right? And those shooters are really difficult to come by.
So to be fair though, and I'm gonna keep letting you cook because I think you're making a good point. But to be fair to Darvin, is that on him or is that on the roster?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's where it's tough, because if you would have just told me that like Taurean Prince shot 40-ish% on 3-pointers for his career, I'd be like, cool, yeah, go get that guy. That makes sense.
And we just watched Gabe Vincent shoot 10,000% in the playoffs from 3.
Yeah, that one was tough because I was always a little nervous with Gabe, and I said this at the time too, so I can actually be consistent when I say this. It's like, that is not the shooter he has been for the entirety of his career. That was an outlier.
But the same is true. Bronny has been cleared for a full return. That's good. No, that's true. But we also just watched Rui do it, and everybody was excited about Rui shooting 1,000,000,000% in the playoffs.
I also said that about him too. I said that like if Rui and if Gabe and if Reeves aren't the shooters that they were in the postseason, the Lakers were going to struggle from deep. And guess what, man?
I mean, look, LeBron.
I hate it when I'm Nostradamus.
LeBron is shooting a career best, and the Lakers are still struggling from 3.
Yeah. The best shooter that the Lakers acquired this year was LeBron.
He is he's just an alien.
Unbelievable.
LeBron's just an alien.
But like the problem with LeBron shooting well from three is that it doesn't really generate space because the person that you would want to generate that space for is LeBron.
Right.
And he has the ball.
Again, it feels like for defenses, it feels like you're getting left off you're getting left off the hook if let off the hook if LeBron
certainly late in games. That's for damn sure, right? That 1-3 that he shoots every close game where he did it against Dallas, right? You weren't on that. You weren't on that call with us, right?
Against Dallas? No, I was at the game.
Right.
On Wednesday, yeah. It was the last game.
When he shot that one, he gets Kyrie in isolation and he fires up a 3-pointer there. That one hurt my soul. With like 15 seconds, I was like, hell yeah, you got the switch. What? You're shooting. Oh, okay. Please go in. Nope, didn't go in. Shit.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I wanted to, start with the positives with Ham. I think he gets and maintains buy-in just about as good as any. Like that, I think, frankly, that's the knock against Frank Vogel, right? Was that he wasn't able to get or maintain that buy-in from various players, most notably Russell Westbrook. So I think that is a factor here that needs to be considered. Tactically, he's okay, I would say. I'd say he's like a little below average in terms of tactics going into games, I would say. And then in-game coaching, that's where I find myself scratching my head a lot because the adjustments take way too long, right? Tyrese Maxey is hitting 4 3-pointers in the first quarter and you're still backing way off of him. And I'm like, hey, that should have been on your on the whiteboard there. Don't let that guy shoot. He's shooting 37%.
But yes.
I mean,
he's also like probably the fastest player in the league with the ball in his hand. So he's going to beat you downhill too, which is why he's scoring 28 a night.
Yeah. But like the timeout thing, right? Like, I don't know how many long runs we have watched that, like, somebody asked me, I was trying to figure out how to do it, like how to do this whole show with my hands in my pockets. Yeah, it just doesn't show, like all you can see is from here, and I'm not standing up.
You could stand up and do it.
Yeah, but I am wearing pants. But
why?
Huh?
Why? Why this time?
Oh, I love sweatpants. I love.
Yeah, but why are you wearing pants this time? That's unusual.
We are in sweatpants weather. It's my favorite time of year. Really quickly, as we got another super comment. Shouts to John here. Anthony, glad to see you back. Been following you since the Locked On Lakers days with Harrison and Lakers Outsiders with Gary and Jacob. Man, Lakers Outsiders.
Gary and Jacob. I like that. He goes back with you. He's followed your content for a minute. I
remember leaving Lakers Outsiders for Locked On Lakers. That was a hilarious episode, actually, if I remember correctly. But all right, so yeah, I think the in-game stuff is what I get the most nervous about with Darvin. That is the part of it that I'm just like, the timeouts really concern me. And I actually got into a back and forth on this with the Kamenetsky brothers on Twitter, right? I think it was Brian who was saying, like, we're not even positive that timeouts do anything necessarily to cut off momentum in it. And if you don't really believe in momentum, which a lot of people don't, right? Like the analytics community doesn't believe in momentum and all of that, then like, I guess maybe from that vantage point, it doesn't help. I do believe in momentum. I think one of the real blind spots for the analytics community is if analytics don't define something, they just believe it doesn't exist. And I that is something that I just will flat out disagree on.
That's one of that momentum and it's the hot hand theory.
The hot hand.
It's just things that nobody's figured out how to quantify yet. So
yeah,
I agree. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There's just no way to measure it. So there's at this point, there's no way to tell.
But like, if every other great coach in the history of basketball understands that sometimes you have to call a timeout to stem the tide a little bit, I I'm going to go ahead and roll with the vast majority of,
sure, but
basketball minds.
Sure, but
I know that's an appeal to authority and
the
appeal
most.
to tradition fallacy,
but Phil wasn't calling timeout. I mean,
he did though occasionally.
People have different coaches have different thoughts on this sort of thing. I have been frustrated at times this season with Darvin not using timeouts. Which one? What it was? Who? I think it was.
It was a game that we were watching together.
Yeah, I don't. Was it on the? It must have been on this road trip.
It was a 20-2 run that the opposing team took that he didn't break up until the 3-minute timeout.
Yes. So I was frustrated by that. Wasn't Cleveland. Who was in between Cleveland and Detroit? It was Philly. Yeah, it was Philly that I was frustrated with.
Basically ended the game.
Yeah, with him not.
Like it was.
Yeah, there's been and it's not the first time. I've been frustrated by him not using timeouts. I haven't spoken to him about it, so I don't know. Look, Darvin is a bright guy, and nothing that he's doing is by accident. I always say that about LeBron, right? Nothing by accident. So there is a reason why he's doing what he's doing. I just don't know what it is. And there's been times that I've been frustrated, like it's time for a timeout. The more times that I'm frustrated, it's not that like no timeout. Usually it's like, I think you should have used 2 possessions earlier than you used one. Is generally my frustration, but like,
and that's like
it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm right either.
Like, you know, the other thing I like that this comment made me laugh from Jesse Cannon. So I think Jesse had his caps lock set, but he hit shift on the P and it is lowercase and Hilly is all the rest of it. That was the game though that we're talking about.
Yes.
The rotations also are a thing that and some of his lineup combinations are, I think, another cause for concern with watching games that Darvin coaches, right? And I tweeted the stat out the other day, and I've sent it to a bunch of people in and around the league that 4-man combination that the Lakers were leaning on most during last year's playoffs, right? LeBron, AD, Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura, they haven't played enough through 20 games of a season to register as a 4-man lineup on NBA.com. And like, yeah, you can point to injuries.
Are you telling me they've played 0 minutes together? Because if they've played together, they'll be on there.
They are. If you go through NBA.com 4-man lineup data, they do not show up.
Have they not played a single minute together? That can't be right. Now I gotta look, but
I'll pull up the tweet. I'll pull up the tweet. I'll grab the link too.
So that is the one area. So I agree with you. I don't know that the lineups. I've had some questions about combinations also, but I do think that's the one area. And again, as I said earlier, I do not give the Lakers any grace on the injury thing, like the offense and injury thing. As far as lineup combinations and figuring out who plays with whom, that is where I think the injuries have had some impact. And so I give a little grace there. I do not give any grace for the offensive performance due to injuries, but just the combinations of guys in lineup data and lineup combinations, I give them a little grace there. But if Austin and Rui and AD and LeBron have not played a minute together, that's interesting.
It's going to turn me into the Joker, is what it's going to do. Like I'm going to lose my effing mind if it continues. Because again, like the whole point of a regular season is to get important lineups reps, and that's your most important 4-man combination, I would argue. Right? Like
no, I would say it's probably, at least going into the year, it was probably you put D'Lo in for Rui. I mean, there was a consideration for Rui starting, for that to be the 5-man group, but I would say D'Lo, Austin, AD, and LeBron was kind of the 4-man group going into the year, and then it was who's going to be the 5th guy was kind of a question. Rui, Vando, Torian, but I'm looking right now, and they have to have played together. They just have to have. This is also the problem with the lineup data on NBA.com is that you can't search by player name, so you just have to scroll.
You have to scroll, and you have to scroll, and you have to
Yeah,
scroll,
it's
and you're going to keep
terrible.
scrolling, and guess what?
And
Isn't going
it's
to
just
come
not
up?
gonna. It's just not gonna be there. Is what you're telling me. You're gonna have to talk for like an hour because it's gonna take me forever to.
There's not that many 4-man lineup combinations, which is also insane that they aren't one
But
of
by the
them.
way, yes, there are.
But all right, so as Aaron finds that, I also have an issue with in trying to implement a brand new offensive system when continuity was going to be a strong suit of this season heading into it. Right at media day, every single player, especially those who are
There's
returning from last year's playoff.
292 4-man combinations for the Lakers, by the way.
Yeah, and you know which one isn't one of them? But so like we we listened on media day, LeBron, AD, Austin, D'Lo, Rui, Vando, on down the line of how like excited they were to bring back the core of a team that was in the Western Conference Finals last year, and how excited they were to build on that continuity. But when you implement a brand new offensive system in the way that Darvin Ham is trying to, that throws a lot of that continuity out the window. Like that it's just everybody at that point arrives at square one. And there goes, I think, quite possibly the biggest advantage that the Lakers had coming into the season. So you combine that with like the best lineup from that playoff run, not playing a minute together in AD, LeBron, Reeves, and Rui. And like all of that momentum has kind of flown, it has gone unused. And at this point, I'm not even positive you could like re-find momentum like that, unless you just scrap 5 out and you go back to the identity that you had last year in the playoffs, which I think there's a some value to potentially try. Aaron, if you're this far down the list,
No. I had to because I'm not gonna like actually just scroll through and search. So I had to, I mean, you want me to be honest with you? I had to remember how to spell Rui's last name to type it in so we could find it. And no,
it's not there.
No, it's not on the first. That group is not on the first page. We'll keep it.
But isn't that the point? It's ranked by minutes played.
No,
together.
I ranked it. I did rank it by minutes.
And if it's not on the first page,
it's not on the first
either.
page.
My point is objectively true,
it's not
or true in all sense of the word.
It's not. It's not on the first page. Okay. Nope. Let's see on the second page here. We're on the second page. We're like scrolling down the second page. Nope.
And I think Jason Kelly brings up a good point here, right? With Braun at 38, it's championship or failure, in a season heading into this. And that's where I get a little nervous with the Lakers employing a rookie head coach in the way that they did last year. You're hoping that guy learns a ton on the job in order to, not be a hindrance to what the Lakers are trying to do, because essentially that's all you look for from coaches.
A lot of Rui on the third page here, but not that 4-man group that you pointed out. I'm not looking. Okay. How about this? I'm not going to look anymore, but we are down to, let's see, how many
guys
minutes?
Who have played like 3 minutes together.
We are down to, I mean, your point stands because I'm on page 3 and we're down to 17 minutes. So
Total.
If they have played together, it is less than 17 minutes, which seems like, I mean, to be fair, Rui has missed a fair amount of time, but it seems like not a lot. Yeah, no, what you're saying is fair.
But I don't know. Coming into last season, I was nervous about employing a rookie head coach because you have LeBron James on the team and you're asking LeBron to trust a rookie head coach. And look, to Darvin's credit, he has, I think, maintained pretty good buy-in.
Oh, wait, LeBron. No, I found him.
Okay, how many minutes have
they played? 12 minutes.
12. Okay.
They played 1 game. No, excuse me, 3 games, 12 minutes.
What's the numbers on them playing?
They have a 104 offensive rating and a 126.1 defensive rating for a negative 21.9 net rating.
Yeah.
In 12
I would say they should probably get some more reps to iron some of that stuff out. Personally, my stance.
12 minutes. 12 minutes.
I'm not an NBA head coach,
You're
but
not.
Personally, that is something that I would probably focus on. So yeah, I don't know. I think all of this comes together, and I think Ham is like an okay to fine NBA head coach, right? I don't think he's terrible. I don't think you can fire him at this point because there aren't other head coaches available who would step in and immediately.
He just went to the Lakers just went to the Western Conference Finals.
I'm not making the case to fire him. I'm not firing
but you're
him.
like, I don't think you can fire him. Why is that even a consideration?
I'm just saying, like,
you qualified it with there's nobody else I would rather have. No, you just don't. He went to the Western Conference Finals, and the Lakers are off to a good start.
Okay. I'd say, like,
okay. Did you expect this team to be 21-0 at this point with the roster?
See, but this is the thing that like you and Trudell were doing the other day on All Access Lakers, where like if I point out any criticism, I get painted as if I'm saying the sky is falling. But like really, like there are valid criticisms.
No, so far. Yes, there are valid criticisms. Absolutely. I think the Lakers, there have been places where, again, I said I'm concerned about the offense.
Yeah.
In a macro sense.
And the lineup combinations.
No, you said that. I said
you scrolled 4 pages to find 4
and that combination has been terrible. That foursome has been awful.
So therefore you don't play them?
No, I didn't bring that up. You brought it up. I just wanted to see because you said they don't appear on the list at all. No, I am surprised that again.
I think I registered it. I put it as like 15 minutes or more. So I should have.
They have not played 15 minutes together yet. And to be fair, they've only played together in 3 games. Rui's been out some, but they've only played together 3 games. And if you told me by game 20 that group would have played 12 minutes together, I mean, Rui's missed whatever. I don't know how many games Rui's missed, 7 or 8 games, something like that.
He hasn't missed so much that those guys shouldn't have played together.
I would have expected more. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think LeBron's missed a game yet, has he? AD missed 1 in Houston. Austin
missed 1. I think LeBron missed 1.
So I think Austin has played in all of them. AD and LeBron have both missed 1, and Ruiz missed a handful. But I would agree with you that I am surprised that 12 minutes in 3 games is how much that lineup has played together. And if you put D'Lo in, I didn't look at this and I'm not going to look at this, but there was a case that
should have been the starting group.
Yes. And so,
or the closing group.
If those guys have only played 3 games in 12 minutes, those 4, if you add D'Lo, it may be none. Probably I don't know, especially because now that D'Lo and Austin have been kind of split up some. So it may be, they may not have played together. And there was a case to be made that was the Lakers' best group, maybe, or going into the year, it might have been
the most talented. It's the most like it. That's the most talented you could put on the floor at any time, right?
I mean, that was like look, Austin is better. Austin is just plainly better than Cam. But like as far as from a talent perspective, Cam is probably more talented than Austin. Austin's better at basketball, but Cam is probably more talented.
I think that's a distinct, or what is it? A distinction
without a difference.
Yeah. I think that, like, last year when I was losing my mind at how many tiny people he wanted to play at the same time, response was
I watched some Willy Wonka last night. Darvin just loves Oompa Loompas. Willy Wonka's my favorite movie, by the way.
The original, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I will not watch a second of anything else.
Are you gonna watch? You're not gonna watch the new one with Timothy Chalamet?
No, that one and the who's the dude that played the pirate guy? Yeah, those both get the middle finger. No, I am not watching a second of that. If it ain't Gene Wilder, I'm not in.
Look, Gene Wilder is a legend. That's fair. That's absolutely fair. But I will so the knock that I had last year was you're overlooking like the parameters that a lineup has to hit in order to be a functional NBA lineup, right? There are like, you have to be at least this tall to ride the rides in the NBA. And
Here you go.
the Lakers were not this tall.
They did not have the
last
collective
year.
inches for
Yeah.
the ride, is what you're saying?
And last year, your response to that was always, well, he's playing his most talented guys. He's getting his like, it just so happened that all of their best players were like 5'10".
Let me be clear. 5'10". just a team full of Isaiah Thomases. Let me be clear. I said that, not clear. Let me be specific. I said that I think Darvin got into a bad habit because the best guys at the beginning of the year were little guys. Most of his best players were little guys. I thought he got into a bad habit of depending on little guys and relying on little guys, or relatively little guys. And I think he did not break away from that even as the roster changed. It was a criticism of Darvin I had last year. I understood it at the beginning because, frankly, like Lonnie and Pat Bev and Schroeder and Russ were like the best guys early in the year. So I understood it. But as the roster changed, I don't think he leaned on bigger guys enough because I think he just got very used to playing small.
Well, I think the 5-out system leans heavily on perimeter guys, and I don't think he needed to do that with this roster. I just think like I think we can say at this point that he views the game ideologically a certain way. He wants skill out there. He wants creativity out there. And, in my opinion, he leans a little too heavily in that direction.
So yes, but that's also a LeBron thing, right? That's also a LeBron. No, you're like shaking your head, but I'm telling you, it is a LeBron thing.
No, I get it, but like, at a certain point, the coach has to coach. Like, he's got a job.
That's fair. No, again, I told you I didn't think he did a good job with that last year. But
like, what I was going to say though is to extend your explanation for why he played tiny people as often as he did earlier in the season,
just a little
to go to roll with
tiny people,
to roll with the Munchkin man lineup as often
as they're like 5 inches taller than you, and you're calling them tiny people.
But so like, in order to play that group as often as he was, and that being the explanation, was he was just getting as much NBA talent on the court as he could at one time. Well, his NBA, like, he hasn't played his most NBA talented lineup to this point, and that just doesn't you're talking about in my mind. Yeah, this season. Like, if the argument last year for approaching it the way that he did was getting as much talent on the court as he could, regardless of size, then this year, okay, do that same thing, except this year that lineup actually fits. We saw it fit in the playoffs.
Okay, and that is a fair criticism, but that's like a slight distortion of what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're like doing it purposefully. My point was he recognized that he's a brand new head coach, right? And he recognized that the best dudes he had were, to use your terminology, tiny people last year. And so I don't think he got stuck playing his best guys. I think he got stuck playing guys that were small last year, because when he started, his best guys were tiny people,
a certain way,
to use your, and then he got stuck. It started as, I'm playing my best guys and my best guys are small. And then when the best guys weren't as small anymore, in my opinion, he still played too many small guys last year.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it was like specifically about playing the best. I think it started as playing the best guys, but I don't think that's how it finished. I think he got kind of stuck playing probably smaller than he should have. Yeah. And again, some of that is on LeBron, because LeBron has, if you agree with it or disagree with it, that it's a good strategy. And by the way, I don't agree with it, but LeBron has made it clear in the organization that he wants, and this, by the way, this goes back to Magic. Like, he wants some help with creation, ball
the grand
handling.
Experiment.
Yes. So some of that is on LeBron also. And I can assure you, LeBron has a large voice in the organization and with Darvin. So, some of it is playing too small, in my opinion, because LeBron wants some help not having to create offense. The push and pull, though, then becomes when it really matters,
Who's
late
gonna have the
game
ball?
situations. He'll say, I want some help, like doing these things. And then in practice, he doesn't necessarily want as much help as he thinks.
Yeah,
So I
every
think
married man can
that's
relate.
a challenge.
Every married man can relate, where like Jen will say, "Hey babe, can you help me with this thing really quick?" And then I'll start doing it, but I won't do it to exactly the way that she wants. She's like, "Oh, stop it! I got this myself." Like every married man can
Somebody
relate
posted,
with
I saw
what's
on
going on.
IG, I don't know what movie it was, but it's who's the girl from Friends? Is it Jennifer Aniston? Yeah. And dude from Wedding Crashers, the white dude from Wedding Crashers. Oh, they're both white dudes in Wedding Crashers. They're in a movie
The bigger one
together.
or the
Vince Vaughn is actually, it's Vince Vaughn. I met him at a Lakers game.
He's like 6 foot.
He's incredibly nice, by the way. I talked to him. He came to a Lakers game and sat next to me and brought, I think, his wife and his 2 kids, and he was incredibly kind. It was a good time. Anyway, so Vince Vaughn and Jennifer Aniston, I think is her name, are in a movie, and he's like playing video games on the couch, and she's like, "I did all this stuff. Like, could you help me clean up?" And he goes like, "All right, fine." And she gets mad at him because he didn't suggest he wanted to do the dishes or something. It's like, I don't want to do the dishes. I want you to want to help me. So yes, that is I don't know what we've got
breakup.
Oh, it's a breakup. There you go. So I've never seen that, shockingly. So I guess LeBron is in that right, the old married couple mode of he thinks he wants help doing some things, but then if he's not thrilled about how his partner is doing those things, then he has to take over. And by the way, he's still LeBron James, so maybe he should just take over the whole time. In the championship year, he led the NBA in assists.
Yeah. Let's wrap up here then, and I think kind of take inventory on Darvin. And again, I would say that he's like a fine to okay coach. I don't think I do think some of his habits can hurt you a little bit. Some of the game planning stuff and some of the rotation stuff, like going into it, I think you might be playing at a bit of a deficit because of some of his approach to the game. But I think that is also made up for how great he is at, like, when it comes time to make an adjustment, guys are ready to execute that adjustment because they are ready to go. And he believes in his guys and the way that he does.
The difficult part for Darvin, as you are like examining how good you were doing an autopsy on his, what he's like as a coach. The difficult part for Darvin
is a biopsy. I'm not like he's not.
Yeah. I'm not saying yes. He's not gone. Yes. The difficult part
you
for
do
Darvin,
an autopsy on Frank if you want, but we, kind of
leave my guy Frank alone. He's doing a good job in Phoenix. Leave my guy Frank alone. I think the difficult part as it relates to this, as we're kind of figuring out what kind of coach Darvin is from the outside, is that the places he is strongest are not things that you see every day. The parts where, you can see I would have used a timeout there, or why is this rotation like that? Or why is this game plan this and not this? And that, by the way, I mean, of course, that is coaching, right? That is coaching, but there is much more to coaching than just that. And the people part of it, and the personality, ego management, the buy-in, as you suggested, all of that are areas in which Darvin excels, and those matter. But you can't say there's no like net rating on how well everybody likes coming to work and gets along and buys in.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna try to grab this conversation that Raj and I were having in DMs. And Raj, sorry, I'm airing your DMs on the show.
You're putting Raj DMs out?
Yeah.
I've had to talk to Raj. I've had to talk to Raj that we can see, everybody can see his likes on Twitter. We've had this conversation before. So you're gonna do Raj dirty again?
No, I think he comes off fine in here. So we'll see how well it pops up on the screen, because it doesn't really fit the window perfectly. But this is a back and forth that we were having. So Raj writes, sure, but other than Spo/Pop, there's no real perfect coach out there. I would argue Pop is not perfect anymore. He just outdueled Steve Kerr, who I also don't think is particularly great anymore.
Steve Kerr,
want to see what he does with the full. with the full availability of wings. And I joked, yeah, you need to see which of whom he plays at center. But I think you're mostly right. But fans are always going to blame the coach first because they're the easiest to get rid of. Raj writes, for sure, and he's not blameless. These games where AD just isn't engaged or LeBron doesn't play defense, I don't know how much to charge that to the coach. And I said, exactly. Those guys aren't going anywhere, though, so it has to be someone else's fault. And Raj finishes, why doesn't he get more credit for the Cam Reddish stuff? And I said, well, I want to see that stick a little bit longer. But like, this, I guess I should have made this earlier in the show. This is kind of like, KYP, know your personnel.
Mm-hmm.
In that, like, at this point, we know the way that LeBron is going to approach the early season, right? And again, I'm not blaming for him for doing this, but he eases himself, especially defensively, into seasons. And he kind of, he works himself into, better shape over the course of the year. And then by the time the playoffs go, he wants to be at his absolute best, right? That's the perfectly logical way to do things. And this is where I would like for Darvin to understand personnel a little bit better, because if you know that going in and you know that teams, basically undertake the personalities of their stars,
Mm-hmm.
then I think more effort needs to be placed on holding guys accountable when they coast in the way that LeBron coasts.
Yeah, but okay, sorry, go ahead, finish.
Well, no, I was just going to finish by saying, like, I don't know how that would even look. I don't know how those conversations even go. That wouldn't come off as LeBron gets to do these things, you have to do these things. But like, you also have to understand reality. Of course, LeBron can't make every single rotation defensively. He's carrying the burden of the offense for the majority of the game. So it does fall to Taurean Prince to grab a rebound that doesn't hit him in the face. It does like come to, this is why Cam Reddish has really stood out, because he plays with high motor out there. D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, those guys don't play with high motors on defense. Sounded super Minnesotan there. But they, those guys have to, the high motor.
Like, Fargo Anthony is not my favorite Anthony. That's not Minnesota, but it's that area of the world. Yeah.
But yeah, I look at, what I would like for Darvin to kind of focus on, and some of the frustrations that most consistently strike me watching this Lakers team. And a lot of it has to do with motor. And I think it's because they are kind of an extension of the personality that LeBron brings to the table. And, that's where I think Darvin needs to find a way to get through to these guys that, like, you guys can't play that way. Right. Like you guys.
So yeah, here's my pushback though, is that and this goes back to the conversation we were having, I don't know, half an hour ago or something, is that the offense has been the problem. The defense has been largely fine.
Well, motor is also offensive rebounds. Motor is also
fine.
Setting screens and making contact.
So let's. I said I was going to talk
spots.
I said I would talk about this later.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
And I will. The offensive rebounding thing, and you can disagree with the directive, but the offensive rebounding, the lack of offensive rebounds for the Lakers is purposeful, because the Lakers last year and still again this year have been so bad in transition defense. It has been the worst part of the Lakers defense. The Lakers have been terrible in transition. So there has been, I was going to say I think, but I'm not going to tell you I know there has been a directive to forego offensive rebounds in service of getting back and in service of not being so bad in transition.
Not directed at AD?
Is it what?
Is that not directed at AD? Like specifically? Because
no, not specifically. No, he's certainly a part of it, but not specifically, no.
Well, because like the reason the Lakers are so bad in transition is because sometimes he loves back out on defense and teams attack the Lakers when AD is not there.
That is one of the reasons.
Like it's smart on the other parts of the other team. And again, this is where like I kind of get it from AD's perspective. He has to play so hard every second that he's on defense that like even I would be like, God, all right, let's like this sucks.
So I do like so like we're getting into it, but here's another part of it is that I think that is part of the reason for trying 5 out offensively. Is because that means there are going to be times where AD is farther from the rim. If you play 5 out, you're going to give up offensive. I mean, you are giving up offensive rebounding, at least somewhat. But it also means that sometimes AD is going to be out on the perimeter and then is going to be the first guy back. If AD is the first guy back in transition, then your transition defense is going to be good because AD is just the best defensive player in the world. Just period. So I think that's part of the 5 out.
It feels kind of galaxy brainy.
Am I?
It feels.
Maybe it feels that way, but I'm telling you, like, that is part of it. Like,
no. I understand why, but like another approach to being or having the transition defense not impact you in the way that it might normally is to really crash the boards and make it so that you create a couple extra possessions for yourself rather than try to get back.
So I'm also interested to see what that looks like and what the decisions are as far as pursuing offensive rebounds when Vando is back, because frankly, that's probably the best part of his offensive game is crashing glass. So look, I mean, if you are trying to offensive rebound and if you start Vando and LeBron and AD in the front court, you probably should be a good offensive rebounding team. And I talked about the hidden yardage in the NFL or in college football and just in football in general. So that is that's the hidden yardage in the NBA is free throws and offensive glass. So I'm interested to see if that directive is a little different when Vando is back, because Vando's a damn good offensive rebounder. And frankly, it's probably the only thing he's good at offensively. So I think that will be interesting. But as of right now, the Lakers have been told that, or not told, that's not, the Lakers have the Lakers scheme, the Lakers game plan is to not attack the offensive glass because they're afraid of giving up too much in transition. So
it's a balance thing.
Yeah, it's a push and pull. Yes, it is. It is a give and take. Yes.
All right. Well, I've had fun. This has been therapeutic. For those of you who enjoyed this, back and
therapeutic after a 148-point win last night.
The Pistons are terrible.
The Pistons are unserious. Yes.
Yeah.
It's be interesting because OKC is very serious.
Yeah. Well, glad you brought that up, because if you've enjoyed Aaron and my back and forth here and you enjoy more of that stuff, or you want more of that stuff, or the back and forth that Raj and I have on post-game shows, or if you want new dynamics, because you haven't heard Shub's voice on this feed and you haven't heard Rome's voice on this feed. We have an absolute blast calling these games on All Access Lakers. That is All Access Lakers
playback.tv/All Access Lakers on the computer, and then you can download the Watch Playback app on iOS, and then come find us, All Access Lakers, and we do a bunch of this, watch games together. True and I do pregame shows. We do off days. We do games. We do giveaways. We do all kinds of stuff. So it's fun. Yeah. Come join the community.
That link is there. Create an account, subscribe to the account, or to subscribe to the channel there, and come watch games with us. It's a fun. Oh, lately, because the games have been taking place so early, my kids have actually been on the feed.
Yes, so yes. Although you're gonna make whoever mad of bringing up
that one dude. He's like,
God, so many kids, so many kids, so many kids.
On that note, I'm going to go spend some more time with my kids before the game. Aaron, this has been a blast. We will talk to everybody soon. As soon as right after tonight's game to figure out what just happened. I do not have high hopes. Hope I'm wrong, though. We'll talk to you soon.
Go Niners, beat the Eagles.